Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to show how to get corn laws as Great Qing at the very start of the game, and or how to double your GDP as any country by using an exploit that will isolate the market, driving most of the prices or a lot of the prices up to plus 75, some of them down to minus 75, depending exactly on how you isolate the market. Now, the way that this works is we need to first move our market overseas somewhere. In order to do this, we need to have one overseas province somewhere that's not connected to most of our market. That is going to be incorporated. It has to be incorporated to move your market capital, and what you're going to do is you're going to come into the trade lens, trade action, move market capital. It's important to note we are moving the market capital, not moving the nation's capital. If you move the nation's capital, this won't work. So we're going to move the market capital from Western Guangdong over here to Formosa. Then we're going to come into Formosa and we are going to delete the port. Now, before we unpause here, it's important to note that our market looks pretty normal for a Great Qing start. We have some plus 75, we have some minus 75. Our GDP is 77 million, but what's going to happen is our incredible market access that we currently have is going to all go away as soon as we unpause, and our GDP is going to jump up to 132 million. Now, this is not quite doubled, but if you do this on other countries with a more developed economy, generally it will more than double. Something that's pretty significant is these negative convoys, so we can't keep the market capital here, and we can't move it for 5 years, but we'll show how we resolve that. We have no market access anywhere, and if we take a look at, the prices in the market, what they are going to be informed by is entirely Formosa's buy and sell orders. In this case, there are a lot of buy orders for a lot of things like consumer goods, no supply of them, so we get to plus 75 prices. The reason that this drives GDP way up is because if we take a look at anything in terms of, the price here, you're going to notice, hey, this isn't that valuable. Why is it plus 75%, or why is this making a ton of money? It's in fact losing money because local prices are what's informing its profitability. Well, GDP is calculated using market prices, or at least this seems to be why this works, and our market price for porcelain is plus 75%. And so whenever you increase the prices of everything in your market, which is generally what market isolation tends to do, this makes everything way more profitable. And so we moved a bunch of stuff to being cheap, to being expensive, and so it's a fake sort of GDP. It's not really real GDP because this is not worth a lot here, and if you let time pass, what you're going to do is you're going to get an output penalty, so this is no good in terms of any sort of gameplay or good in terms of the game. It is good for getting a screenshot where you have a really big GDP. You just have to, right click all this market isolation and pretend like your market's fine and maybe do something to resolve those convoys. Or in the case of China, Great Qing at the game start, it's going to be really useful for getting corn laws. Now, corn laws requires that you have export prioritization on grain, and you get grain up to plus 25%. This is the difficult part, getting it up to plus 25%, but the way that we have done it here is by isolating Formosa's market and then using a whole bunch of trade routes to increase the price of grain, which is now over plus 75. We could even export a little bit more, but it is over plus 25%, so if we let the game think a little while longer, we will indeed get corn laws here. We won't go into why corn laws is good in too great of detail, but it allows you to reform your economic system really fast by getting a landowner with the laissez-faire ideology here, which will allow you to, in our case, scholar officials, which will allow you to reform the economy very quickly. Now, as it stands, even if we get that, we still have this big problem of the Great Qing market having, zero market access. And so what we're going to do to resolve that, or what is standardly kind of done here, is we are going to release Formosa, which will snap the market capital back to our capital. We're going to release them as our subject country, and taking a note, we have 132 million GDP, but instantly, our market access is resolved here, and we are running a positive balance on convoys because the market capital is now back in the capital, and if we take the time to unpause and let the game think, our GDP will return to a normalized kind of fashion. But what we have here is we have corn laws, which is very significant as Great Qing, and as any country, you just need to incorporate something that's overseas and then isolate it, in particular in a place where we are going to be having local prices prices that are generally expensive because you have a lot of demand and are overflowingly expensive. And by doing this, you can crank the GDP way up and or get corn laws. Anyways, this has been kind of the short little tidbit on this exploit. If you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If there's a specific exploit you want me to cover, please put it down in the comments below. And other than that, have a good one.